Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. So in this part, I will be sharing with you how I paint or create soft feathers. It all comes down to the two techniques, which is wet on wet and lifting colors. So those are the two main techniques I teach in watercolor. Once you wet the object, you want to play with light and shadows. You want to start with undertones. Very often we start with undertones. And whenever we paint something white, for example, white feathers, you can use primary colors, so yellow, blue, red. More about this in the class. The full class can be found on Patreon, so that's where I share full classes and not just voiceover tutorials. So the link is below, and also please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much and enjoy. So here, I'm also wetting the eye because eye is going to be painted later. And I might as well add some color with that first layer. Good. And then here, because the feathers are lighter than the background, I don't mind wetting the background too. My palette here, and this is my yellow ochre. I need this to be more like a milk. And then raw sienna, and then there's my quin red. So something like that. And you know what? It's nice to always add another shade of yellow. So if you want to, you can grab imidazolone yellow, for example. Now you don't have to again. It's up to you, but I feel like I don't have enough water with this. I do want this to be between water and milk like ratio, so not just milk. And then whenever I feel like I see that shade of that mixture of that yellow ochre raw sienna, which technically with the quin red would be like an orange, right? So what I'm going to do now is clean my brush, and I'm going to start grabbing some of the cobalt blue. This is cobalt blue and quin red, right? So I also want a little bit of yellow for that soft transition. And I think you can see like all these darker shades through the belly. So think about it where you're placing this kind of shade of gray. It's like a blue gray. You don't want it everywhere. Find the darkest parts and place it there. We're shading the bird. Now this part underneath the belly will be the darkest, right? And to create a similar shade that we see in the reference, that's when you want to actually think of primary, so yellow, blue, red. And we're already using the yellow, blue, red. I have a little too much of the blue, so I just need to go back there. But this is yellow, blue, red. It's just a little more concentrated. So more like a milk-like ratio. The paint is still spreading a lot, and I'm letting it spread. See, I want the paint to spread at this stage. Now, if you don't want the paint to spread so much and you're looking to have more control, that's when you adjust the ratio between water and paint. I'm going to go back right here where I have these shadowed areas. This is cream top, like ratio between water and paint. Same brush, but the ratio changed. It changed to this cream top. I want to say heavy cream. Sometimes it feels like a heavy cream, but it's cream top. And you can do this as long as the paper feels wet. So like for example, maybe a little bit of that here. The paint wasn't too diluted with water, but now it is. So we can still go back and add this heavier ratio. Now I want a little more red, yellow with this actually. So this one I'm going to shade it a little more before this dries more. If I don't have enough paint, then nothing's happening. So that's another thing to watch out for. If you don't have enough water, then you start removing what you have. So you have to be careful with that too. So these are the grays, the red, blue, yellow. And just to add a little more here. Now we can do the same thing with the rigger brush too, to add like some individual hair. So I'm going to clean this brush. I want to grab some of the same mix, So it's a blend of that kind of like a blue, yellow, red, but mostly cobalt blue, with an addition of indigo. And you're going towards the top here. Now it does feel like I should have some shade of brown, like a Van Dyke brown, right? We can do that too. Now I don't have enough water with my brush, so I had to grab a little more. And this is where this is my round 8 golden one, by the way. And this is when I'm adding these darks. I don't have enough, so I need to grab more. So I still want to grab this. I'm going to show you. So the yellow, blue, red. There you go. And then plus, this is my indigo. And back towards the top with the tip of my brush, just adding the shade of this mix. But mix, like think of it, you're mixing colors on the paper. Now we want to lift colors too, right? So we're not done with the bird body yet. So if I want more color, I'm just grabbing more. This is more like a between heavy cream and cream top. Now I want that part feel more like an indigo, so I'm grabbing more indigo, and this needs to be more like a half and half like ratio because I want the paint to spread here. I'm gonna pull it that way, and you're going in the motion of those feathers, like the pattern of the feathers. You don't want to go like against it. And here, these areas, I'm going to have to use like a heavy cream or cream top like ratio between one and paint. So I have more control, and so the paint does not spread as much. Now I do want to add a little color here actually. Went a little too far, and I might have to lift it because actually that part of the beak is supposed to be much lighter, right? So I'll worry about it in a second. For now, I want to add more color here. And with the tip of my brush, I'm going to grab Van Dyke Brown. So now I am adding an additional color. I wasn't using this Van Dyke Brown before. And I'm adding it towards like the areas wherever I can spot that Van Dyke Brown. And it is around the eye too. Now keep an eye on the belly because this is where we want to lift colors too. The perfect timing to lift colors is when that shine goes away. So we want to keep an eye on it. And I'm using some of this color on my brush just to place it in other spots too. Like this is darker, right? So somewhere there, I can go back there, but this time it has to be like a cream top if I want to add more color. So for example, here, and let's say here. And we can add more, even wet on dry later, because that could have like hard edges. Not everything has to be like perfectly soft, because you do see hard edges too. So sometimes, yes, I'll paint something like completely like with that wet on wet and there's no hard edges. But to be honest, sometimes it looks better when you do have like some wet on dry strokes as well. I'm gonna grab a little bit of Van Dyke Brown. So cream top on the tip of my brush. I think that's pretty good. What I need to think about is actually using my rigger brush to lift the colors. This is my rigger size 2, the Songbird. So I can do two things. I can lift the colors. So some areas might be ready, like over here. And maybe over here. I can lift colors, and I can also add more color with the rigger brush. So the lifting is not perfect. Just have to feel it out in a way. I grabbed a little water because you still need water. And you're trying to scoop this blend of the yellow, blue, red something like that. So like a cream top. And then find areas where you could add these individual hair strokes, I guess. And you want to do this wet on wet because then, like, you can see the hairline, right? But it will dry softly. So for example, here and here, maybe over here, although this should be a little darker. So I'll come back to it. The bird looks very delicate right now, and we can change all this too. Like if we don't like it how delicate it is, we can add a second layer. We can make it darker. So you can see, like, I don't have much water on my brush. This is cream top. So I continue grabbing this cream top like ratio between water and paint, right? I do want this to be a little more in shape though. So I need to grab some water. Everything is pretty much dry. The beak didn't take much time to paint, and the eye, we still have to come back to the eye. But what we could do is paint the background, at least the top part, because we have a branch here, we have the snow. So what I want to do is wet the background except for the bird, and then maybe wet part of the bird here, so I have a little bit of softness here. So I don't have a hard edge around the bird everywhere. However, the soft edge, I mean, do we really see that softness in the bird? When it comes to the feathers in the background, not really, maybe just a little bit like over here again, or that back tail, the tail feathers here. Otherwise, we do have like hard edges. So that's it for this class. So thank you so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.